Hello, sumo fans. It's day 12. Well, day 12 is almost over. In Japan, they're already on day 13, but sumo hasn't started yet. So for me, it's still day 12. Oh, how I wish I had a different picture to place up than Onosho. Typically, I wouldn't say that because I've been rooting for Onosho for years now. I think he's a very talented guy who couldn't really put things together for years now. Same age as Takakeisho. They've been facing each other since, I believe, at least high school, maybe earlier. Onosho won the Hakuho Cup, I believe the inaugural Hakuho Cup. So there's always been high hopes for him that never materialized due to Onosho's footwork, I would say, in particular. And now here we are, Onosho. I can't think of a time that he was this close to a Yusho win. I can't think of a time he was ever the leader in a Yusho. It tells you something about the times that we're in. But this is a huge opportunity for him, which, you know, if I wasn't such a biased Takakeisho fan, I would be pumped up and excited, and maybe I need to get there. But there was an awful lot on the line for Takakeisho, and it's not looking too good. But let's go into what went on and what is to come. And then if you guys want to chat about other things, we can get into it. So, today, Onosho goes up against Tamawashi, which, as we discussed in length on the last live stream, Tamawashi is one dangerous guy. And, you know, some people put some comments on the last live stream saying that perhaps Tamawashi is not intentionally someone who injures someone, which I could see, but rather he just comes from an old school way. And in that old school way, you are aggressive, you are, you know, going for the win, and you expect your opponent to meet aggression with aggression. And there might be something to that, considering the fact that Hakuho and Hanamafuji, Hoshoryu, all the guys we talk about from the past, definitely had a better track record dominating people. Perhaps the lack of aggression is also a part of the sumo inconsistency that we see now. So anyway, Onosho's going up against Tamawashi, always a challenging foe, and Onosho dominated him. I was quite surprised. Onosho at this point usually falls off to some degree. You know, he ends up like feet up in the air and falling flat on his face. Not this Onosho. He wants that Yusho, and I think Takakeisho being the guy to beat probably fires him up even more, considering their history. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And then Takakeisho fighting Kiribayama today. Kiribayama pulls a real slick move, a real fast, like, grapple and pull to pull Takakeisho off balance. And once Takakeisho's off balance, he's just in trouble. He's so top heavy. It was surprising, probably for Takakeisho too, and something that he probably won't forget again in the future. He'll be keeping an eye on that sort of situation, but it's not looking good. So first Takakeisho lost his Yokozuna bid probably yesterday. As soon as he lost that second match, that was it. But now he has 3 losses. So the Yokozuna thing is like way out the window. And now he's the runner-up. He has to win. He has to win tomorrow just to tie. And that is a terrible position to be in, considering. Daniel says, Onosho definitely was never the same after his knee injury. On the Sumo Wrestling Wiki, it says Onosho and Takakeisho competed against each other since elementary school. I thought that was the case. I just couldn't confirm off the top of my head. I thank you very much for letting me know that. Onosho and Takakeisho's rivalry goes on and on and on. They're the exact same age. Now you know that they've been competing since elementary school. And unfortunately, Takakeisho is really set up to have a Takayasu moment now. He went from being at the top of his game, dominating, figuring out the belt issues, should have been on an easy road to winning the whole thing and getting his Yokozuna promotion, to losing his Yokozuna promotion, and now being behind, and possibly not winning this Yusho either, which, it was really his for the taking. So this is a big danger zone if you're Takakeisho. Like, you got to right the ship. At least take the Yusho. If you don't get the Yokozuna promotion, at least take the Yusho. And he's not looking too confident right now. And I worried. I'm glad I did the live stream that I did on Tuesday, because I had a feeling that was the last, super happy moment we were going to have, that the rest of it was going to be a nail biter. But I worried about Kota Nawaka. Though he is not consistent, he is a giant killer, capable of beating anyone on any given day. And Takakeisho's nerves got the best of him, unfortunately. So what we are looking at tomorrow is Onosho versus Takakeisho. Glad that we're not dragging this out. So tomorrow is going to determine a lot. Tomorrow is going to determine... I don't know if it's going to determine the winner, honestly, because Koto Shoho is right behind them. He's tied with Takakeisho. Onosho still has not proven to me that he's ready for the big time. I mean, this is the first time I've even seen him come this close. So anything could happen, but boy, he's looking awfully confident. He's not looking nervous. He's looking pretty fired up. That's what he did today with Tamawashi is what I expected Takakeisho to do. So I don't know. I really hope that Onosho, being the guy he's got to fight, fires Takakeisho up instead of him continuing to wallow in a lack of confidence. I mean, this is one of the moments in sumo and any sport where you got to dig really deep. When things are not looking good and you've had some serious setbacks, you got to put them behind you and push forward, as cliche as that is. And, it's unfortunate because, as I mentioned on the last live stream, I love looking at the comments. And there's definitely been a shift. Right up until yesterday, it was Takakeisho so great. I love Takakeisho for Yokozuna. As soon as he bowed out, everybody goes silent except for the naysayers who say, I told you he wasn't Yokozuna material. He'll never make it. And it's a shame. But sumo is sumo. It's a tough sport. And if it wasn't this tough and demanding, I probably wouldn't be interested in it. So alas, we must move on. So Koto Shoho is sort of interesting because this is also his first real shot. He hasn't been around as long as Onosho. But Koto Shoho is the guy who had a lot of promise. A lot of people were thinking this is like the next up-and-coming guy. He's really going to do something. And he got injured and he went back to Juryo. Then he came back and he really hasn't been, 100%. Either it's confidence or maybe that injury just was a nagging injury. But all of a sudden, Koto Shoho looks like the guy everyone expected him to be in this tournament. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if he can pull it off. That's part of the reason I'm not saying, okay, if Onosho wins tomorrow, he wins the whole thing. Okay, if Takakeisho wins tomorrow, he's going to, put up the numbers to take the whole thing. I think Koto Shoho is going to make this very interesting. And he is facing Abi tomorrow. And Abi, he likes to play spoiler when he's not in it. I think Abi had high hopes of actually taking back-to-back Yusho. I think his confidence is up pretty high. And stamina-wise, it's not working out. Not sure about the elbow, if that's a factor. But, things aren't quite going for Abi the way he planned. And he wants his Kachikoshi. So I think Abi's going to give Koto Shoho quite a run for his money, which I hope so. And, let's see this come. Let's fight this out. Let's see what happens. I really hope Takakeisho's the winner in the end, but we shall see. Daniel says, Wakanosho, Takakeisho's young stablemate, is also fighting for the Sandame Yusho. Hopefully they both pull through. That's good news because Takakeisho's had a lot of bad luck in the stables he's been in. First, Takanohano takes off because of the Takanoiwa thing. And next thing you know, he's got a new stable master. Things are very iffy there. Then he had the twins, Takagenji and I can't remember Takagenji's brother's name was. Both get knocked out for different scandals. And now you have Takanosho, who is he went from being like a career Sanyaku to like wallowing down middle bottom of the whole chart. And we're not quite sure what's going on with him. I don't know if this is an injury or a mental thing, but he's really, really not the guy he was since he debuted. So there's a lot going on in Takakeisho stables. It would be good if the two of them could find some energy together and pull a double Yusho so that we can have a nice big celebration in that stable. And in general, I don't know. I mean, I can't get a pulse on Takakeisho's popularity because he's not spoken about very much on the English broadcast. And I know people are very iffy about him in the foreign audience. Some people love him, but some people they don't for whatever reason. But I would think in general, it would be good for sumo for the Ozeki to win a Yusho. It's been a long time, and it would be good to sort of reinvigorate people's hopes that there are top guys, I guess. So, next thing I want to talk about is Hoshoryu. This is a very tricky situation with Hoshoryu because he's trying to put together an Ozeki run. He hurts his ankle. He fights a really long, tough fight against Rudin today. And I think that if his ankle had been 100%, it wouldn't have been so close and it wouldn't have gone so long. For him to lose that fight when he put so much into it, that's got to take some wind out of the sails. Hopefully his ankle is okay and he's going to put this together and win out the next couple of days. But, now he's in a situation where he might not even get 8 if he's not in the best shape. So we started off this New Year's tournament talking about Takakeisho maybe being Yokozuna, Hoshoryu maybe winning. If Takakeisho doesn't win, then maybe Hoshoryu wins, and we get a new Ozeki to Takakeisho, really, really blowing it, and Hoshoryu getting injured, and it doesn't seem like it's a serious injury, but still. This is the chaos of this January Basho. Between the injuries and the retirements, it's feeling a little weird. It's definitely feeling weird. Now, on the last live stream, we had Tulio, and he had brought up that there was Jonidan 55 Shoran had fallen on his head and that he didn't get up, and him and a couple of others were telling me that I needed to go back and watch, and I did. And I'm very, very concerned about what happened because it didn't seem to me that he ever got up. They did cut away after a while, but it seemed like he was just on the ground and never moved. And there's been no talk about it unless, maybe somebody who's here heard something. I couldn't find anything. I was doing searches. I was going through the normal channels. I didn't see anything on his condition. Hopefully that means he's okay, and that's why we haven't heard anything. But that was pretty scary. And I'm hoping that we get some sort of update. I think if Chris Sumo was still doing videos on the daily, we would have heard something. But I keep waiting, keep hoping that we'll hear something and that he's actually okay, because that was a pretty scary fall. Let me know if anybody has heard anything. And I also heard there was another wrestler. I think I wrote his name down. Yoshino Fuji also was hurt. I did not see that injury, so if anybody has any updates on Yoshino Fuji, that would also be interesting. So, I do want to make the comment that I did on the last live stream, which is I really am more convinced than ever that the inconsistency that we are seeing in sumo, some of it is like the quality of wrestler in terms of personality. You know, we don't have the same hard-nosed, tough guys that we used to have of old. On the other hand, what helped the whole tradition grow was the passing on of the training. The actual training is the sumo product. If you go through this harder than hard training and you have the skills, many of these guys definitely have the skills. But if you buy into the system, the training, and you do all the things you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be able to be fairly consistent. And I think between what happened with it's all related to COVID. But then just even after COVID, after 2 years of not doing the training system the way it is, it's got to change people's mindset. It's got to be harder to push yourself to the absolute limit when you haven't had to for 2 years. So they kind of go together. And I really, really, as much as I thought, Hakuho was just obsessed with training, so he would say that, I'm really starting to believe that that is the actual truth. And Hakuho is onto something. The lack of consistent training and the missing training from 2 years is going to last in sumo for a very long time. It's going to be maybe the brand new guys who don't have an interruption in training that will finally bring in a new era of sumo. It could be that impactful. Because every single guy that was in there who started their career in 2020 or before would have been impacted by this 2.5 years of inconsistent training, of missing entire tournaments, of just the overall stress of fighting in a situation where you could be pulled at any moment, or you could get really sick, or just it affected things probably for the next 10 years. And now when you have brand new sumo guys coming in, maybe we'll get something that resembles the past. But I don't know. I kind of think that maybe sumo is transformed forever thanks to that situation. But we'll have to see. Sometimes transformation can be, it can be an improved thing. Like maybe something really great will come out of it. Sometimes you just never quite recover and you never quite get to where you were before. So we're going to have to see what time says, time does. Daniel says, yeah, unfortunately, they really don't give any details on the lower ranked Rikishi at all. They don't. Speaking of COVID, when there'd be a COVID infection, you would only hear if it was the upper ranked guys. You would not hear the lower ranked guys. Like, it'd be like, 5 lower ranked guys have COVID. And 1, Ichinojo has it. And then 5 of his stablemates. You get nothing. And unfortunately, those Rikishi are the one who take a lot of beatdowns. It's very interesting to watch the lower rankers because the Tachi-Eyes are so much less impactful, but the wrestling is so much more, there's so much more grappling and fast movement and a little bit of reckless abandon. When you've got these giant guys that you're pushing against, there's only so much you can do against them. There's a little bit of a invisible force that stops a lot of really bad things from happening. But when you have 2 very small guys that are fast and they're hungry and they're out to prove something, like, that's when you have these crazy, like, falls from the ring, because there's nothing really preventing them from really fighting it all out. You know, there's not only the guy's, there's the strength of the guy's defense that he's fighting. So that is where we are at there as well. We will have to wait and see if anybody has any updates on those two guys. Does anybody follow tachi.org by any chance? Because that would be the place that would be the English place that would be most likely to say something about a lower ranked guy, but they would have to have seen it. I don't know if it would make the newspapers, or I guess we're going to have to rely on Chris Sumo. And now let's talk about Shodai, who's suddenly making an amazing comeback. Too little too late, of course. He won't be coming back to Ozeki. However, you do see with Shodai, once the pressure's off, he starts to win again. It's an amazing thing to see. And he actually has quite a bit of interesting tools in the tool bag. In particular, he's like the only guy who can do that stand-up Tachi thing, where he just sort of absorbs the attack. And he's immediately just like a brick wall to whoever he's fighting. And it's just a shame that the pressure gets to him so much. And I kind of wonder if that's a training thing too. Like, maybe if you just have so much muscle memory doing these repetitious fights and stuff, you don't have time to get scared in the ring, or time to think about the weight of your rank. However, with there being so few people to actually share in the pressure, that's perhaps another issue. Like, Shodai knew it was just him and Takakeisho. And Shodai obviously had confidence issues, so, you know, maybe that was too much. But as somebody had commented on the live stream just recently, all of these wrestlers are a product of their era. So if there is no Hakuho to fight, if there is no Hoshoryu to fight, if there is no Takanohana to fight, then these guys are the product of who they have to fight. So if everybody's sort of, you know, I don't want to say mediocre, but if everybody's sort of like status quo, what would it take for somebody to be far greater than that? And I would believe that would be something internal. So, we will have to see. I'm definitely going to do a live stream tomorrow. There's probably going to be quite a bit to talk about. We're going to have a great idea of where the Yusho is headed, because either Onosho is now going to be up 2 on Takakeisho and possibly 2 on Koto Shoho, or Koto Shoho will be behind, or Takakeisho is going to tie it up, and then we'll see what happens there, and Koto Shoho could tie with Takakeisho. All of a sudden, you've got, you know, the makings of another 3-way playoff coming. It's all coming down to tomorrow. And, man, beside the outcome, I think that match is going to be awesome. Nobody better pull a Henka. None of this. I don't care that I'm not supposed to talk about Henkas anymore. I don't care that they're allowed. Blah, 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 blah. No Henka tomorrow. Just straight up Takakeisho, Onosho, battling it out like they've done since elementary school. And the tougher guy wins. That's my hope for tomorrow. So, thank you all for listening and watching. And I will see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoy day 13. And best of luck to all those participating.